Mate, being the 200th episode,
Yeah.
I would have hoped that you had come prepared
I have.
with one of the great gags.
I have.
What
I've
have you
not many
got?
left, actually. My library is almost out.
Okay.
To the point now I have to tell the dirty ones and we DMCA it ourselves.
Now, I mean, that sounds like there's a lot, but I reckon you've skipped 150. So, congratulations for having 50 good jokes.
All right, thank you. Very religious man, very deeply religious, is also an excellent golfer.
Uh-huh.
Excellent golfer. Renowned for two things, golf and his faith, right? And one day he rocked up to confession at church and asked to see the father. The father knew who he was. Come in, my son. What troubles you today? And this guy goes to confession once a week, so it's not a surprise. But this guy said, well, Father, bless me, Father. It's been 1 week since my last confession. And I said a unsavoury word on the golf course. And the father's a bit of a golfer too, so he sort of understands. I think they're members of the same club. So he goes, okay, son, tell me your story. And the golfer says, well, I was playing beautifully. I was going to break my course record, the course record for this course. I got to the 18th, that par 4, that tricky par 4 up the hill. And as I went to swing, someone ripped their Velcro and put me off. And the father goes, was that when you swore, my son? No, Father. It put me off and I hit it up straight up in the air and it was going to make the ladies' tee. And a big gust of wind blew into my face and it started to go backwards. Was that when you swore, my son? No, Father. Then another gust of wind came from somewhere and blew it the other way and it went so far down the fairway, it actually ended up in the fairway bunker. Was that when you swore, my son? No, Father, because then a kookaburra came out of nowhere, picked up the ball, and then flew and took it to the green. On a par 4, I was going to maybe get an albatross. Was that when you swore, my son? No, Father, because then a bolt of lightning came out of the sky and zapped the kookaburra, and it landed right on the sprinkler head, and then bounced onto the green, and then hit at the very top of the hill. Was that when you swore, my son? No, Father, because then another gust of wind came and blew it all the way down to this far from the pin. It was going to be an albatross. And the priest goes, don't tell me you missed the fucking putt.
Oh, God. I've waited 200 episodes for that and it was worth it.
Oh, thanks, brother.
Game on! Game on!
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Game on! Game on! It's gaming time! Excellent! Game on! Game on! It's gaming time! Excellent!
So, 200 eps. I mean, I sort of forgotten. We just do this every week, right? Because we bloody love gaming. And what else do we bloody love, Pete? Shit.
Golf.
Yeah, well, we love golf. I love golf. You don't love golf. I've seen you play golf. We haven't played golf
hang
together,
on,
actually.
wait a minute. Yes, I play like shit, but that doesn't mean I don't necessarily.
Well, that's a very good point. Mind you, your dad was giving you heaps of shit, wasn't he? Remember you were in the bunker and he just like taking videos of you? Like,
Yeah, you flog. My old man, the worst bloke.
Yes.
Haven't golfed with him since as well.
That's right.
Oh God. Yeah.
Hang on. Barry. Gaming.
Oh, it's bloody
Bloody
gaming.
gaming.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
Christ.
Barry, what do we
Thanks,
do with that, Barry?
Okay. I don't know. Probably Google the answer. Thanks, Barry. Yeah, mate, you're right.
So it's a big moment.
It is a big moment. 200 episodes. And look, I mean, really, it's just a number.
Well, it is. We just keep doing what we do, don't we?
It's just a number. But I guess, hitting these milestones gives you an opportunity to look back and reflect.
Yes.
And when you do look back and reflect, you sort of look upon quite an extraordinary thing that, and I say we as in the two of us sitting here,
Yeah,
but when we say we, there's so
bigger than
many
that.
of us now. Yeah. But that we've managed to achieve in the last 4 and a bit years. Yeah.
What started out as our, literally was, a chance to talk about gaming, but to try and get some free games. That was always
That
my
was
goal.
literally it. I mean, and you know what? Let's go even back a bit further than that, right?
Okay.
And I wanted to because, look, Inferno, the historian,
yes.
the great Chriso, has
Great
written
man.
an incredible article here. God, you're amazing. Game On Australia's 200th podcast episode, the first year.
The first year.
He's created a series. He's doing a series like he does his MMORPG, which is a wonderful historic series of MMORPGs. If you want to go back and have a look at them, all at GameOnAUS.com. And I was reading through it, and we'll touch on a few of these things, but he's brought up some memories that I'd certainly forgotten along the way. There's wonderful pictures here, like there's a picture of us holding a mug.
Oh, so that was my Secret Santa got me that as a
Yes,
and we're
with
like,
the
oh
logo.
my god, yeah, the old logo.
With the old logo. And, there's a story in itself in the old logo. Us in the studio there. Me at Target holding a NES Mini.
Yes.
Which I'd completely forgotten about. And then we'll talk about, the other sort of screenshot of the top podcasts on iTunes and where you were at the time and all that sort of stuff. We'll come back around to that. But do you remember when we first met?
Yeah, well, I do. I have been at a radio station, on and off for 15 years. And you were one of the many young kids that come in and what they call road runners or street teamers, and you'd actually been there before I started.
Yeah, I was
coming in doing casual shifts, driving out cold cans of Coke and that kind of stuff.
Stickers and crumpets
and we met, but was just Pete, I'm down, blah blah blah. And then I think one day you were talking, or was I talking about Nintendo's?
So I think you were talking about something with someone to do with gaming.
It might have been because there was. I used to sit near the promo girls here, and they used to give me shit about being a gamer, and being a nerd. And little did we know in our team that I had a fellow nerd.
Yep.
This guy right
and
here.
I was walking past and I sort of looked at you and I went, bloody gaming. And you looked at me and went, bloody gaming. And it sort of blossomed from there.
It really did, yeah.
And so it started all the way back then. Gaming quite literally brought us together.
It did. 100%.
It was the catalyst for us to develop a friendship.
Yep.
And there's so many wonderful stories of people who have developed friendships through gaming, and we talk about the online communities and stuff, and even our own community and how, we've got the community of amazing people who get together every now and again and now catch up with each other. And there's wonderful stories of things like, Blue Streak and Ariond, a couple of people in our community who, Ariond needed a chest of drawers.
Yes.
I was giving one away because we were updating something. And, Blue Streak has brought him over with Blue's truck to pick up the chest of drawers. We're three people who, GOA aside, probably would never have met each other.
No.
And that's what I love about this so much. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. And I love watching the community grow. I love watching people sort of get together. But, that's something that's really come out about gaming. And it's something that I want the mainstream to have a much closer look at in terms of the benefits of. But, it's certainly for me one of the very early examples of creating a friendship because of video games.
Yes.
And one that I'm very thankful for. Here we are over a decade later, but certainly 4 years down the track of GOA.
And I think too, one thing that gamers carry, particularly in my instance growing up, we were the nerds, but it's become more mainstream the longer it's gone, to the point now that I think you're probably more of a nerd in a school sense if you don't play games.
Yeah, if you're not playing Fortnite or Minecraft or Roblox
about us or Among Us. Sorry.
Among Us, about us. It's just a game where
pick the old gamer,
right? Where a heap of people get together around a table.
Yeah, what's this about us game? Where can I find this for my grandson?
You just talk about yourself. That's what the game is.
Actually, not a bad idea. So I think there's that intrinsic nature of gamers to be friendly.
Very much so.
We always had that little niche thing in common. It's the same way I imagine, and I heard Troy Sivan talk about this last night on the project, about how the Mardi Gras has become this massive celebration because for so long that community was almost,
outcasts,
you know,
shunned.
And then they finally had this moment where they could celebrate being who they are together. And now it's just a massive celebration. I feel like gamers are a bit the same way.
Yeah, I think because, further to that point, because video games are so accessible
that's
to the wider community.
Yeah, exactly right.
You know, you look at things like Twitch and social media and certainly our community as well.
Well, they're connectors, aren't they?
They are connectors,
yeah.
But, you know, you don't have to be athletically gifted. You don't have to jump high, run fast, kick a ball. No. You just have to turn on a system.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or connect to Discord or so on and so forth. So, you know, the gaming community as a whole is such a... And look, granted, anybody listening to this will also go, well, the gaming community can be a mob of assholes. Yes, they can. Like anybody can. Any community can. Yeah. But the gaming community is an incredibly warm and welcoming community, and it welcomes everyone. And people find their place in it, and it doesn't matter whether you are, you know, LGBTQIA+. I hope I've gotten that right. Or if you are, you know, physically challenged or mentally challenged or, you know, handicapped in some way, or you just your average regular Joe, you know, like. The fact of the matter is, the only thing that really separates us is a console or a screen.
Yep.
But once you turn that video game on, then we're all in this together, sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's a. I mean, we're friendly guys, you know. Generally, we would have probably become friends anyway, based on just working together. And hey, Peter, you know, have a bit of a chat.
No,
but the gaming was that spark, wasn't it?
If it wasn't for commercial gain, I wouldn't have anything to do with you.
Now that you're breakfast talent.
Yes,
I don't give you time of day, mate.
Talent,
yes.
You heard that right. No, you're very right, mate. You're very right. And look, episode 200, we had a lot of ideas that we threw around about how we could really celebrate this episode. Guests that we could speak to, and you know, bless Inferno again. He lined up an incredible guest for us. But that guest is actually going on an incredible adventure, and we thought, actually, you know, it might be a great idea to get this guest on afterwards, after they've done their adventure, and actually have a decent chat. And we thought, you know, episode 200 is probably just a great opportunity. 100 we had Larry Hrib. I'm going to say Herb Hrib. My head always does that, but Major Nelson. Essentially, you know, the daddy of Xbox. You know, like we had him for episode 100. We were here at 2:00 in the morning.
Well, I went home and slept and came back. You just slept here.
Yeah, I did.
I love that.
Because I had breakfast radio, I think.
No, your afternoon.
Was I Arvo?
You were set.
I was.
You worked till 7, had some dinner.
That's right.
Watched some TV.
Yes. And
fell
then
asleep.
Yep. And then came in. But you know, like that historian actually asked me, and I know he asked you for your, you know, a personal highlight. For me, that was a personal highlight, and the reason why I say that is because, you know, we started out, as you said earlier in the show, going, Christ, it'd be a bit of fun if one of us could get a free game. And then there we were, you know, celebrating episode 100 with the guy who fathered Xbox, you know, the consoles that we've come to know and love. So,
and it was an amazing chat. Like he, to his credit too, because we're just a little podcast from Australia, but, you know, we got the PR person say, oh, Mr. Hrib's on the call, you know, connecting you guys now. All right. And then it was on, wasn't it? It was great.
It was such a wonderful chat. Said he'd come back for episode 200. Didn't hear back from him.
Funny that.
Love you, mate. We get it. So, you know, just a fantastic chat. But this podcast has grown into so much more now, and it has afforded not just us, but our entire team and community so many incredible, memorable experiences. And I would actually, I don't know if you'd already planned something, and sorry I didn't raise this before, it's only just come to me. I'd love to pitch that as this week's big question.
Oh, 100%.
And say, if you are part of our community and you have a wonderful, memorable experience about how this community has helped you or benefited you, or even just something awesome that happened because of it, then feel free to let us know. We'll post it on socials and stuff.
We'll do that.
Even in the chat right now on Twitch, it'd be great to see. But yeah, like you know, far out. Who would have thought? Here we are 4 years later.
Well, I would have thought, because what's always amazed me about this thing is that again, back to gaming, because we talk about something that we know there's a community out there that love it so much. They sort of found us, didn't they, really? I mean, we haven't done much apart from just be active on socials. we haven't done any really much boosting or that kind of stuff. We've just put it out there.
No,
and
not
said,
really.
you know,
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that our God Mode group is almost as big as our Facebook page in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
In social media terms, you know that the group's always more engaged because they're there for a reason.
Oh, without a doubt. And there's so many, Clayton Carson comes to mind right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
There's so many people in there that are posting awesome stories and news and memes. And the God Mode group has just become sort of like its own beast, you know, where there's just a good group of people, blokes and ladies, that are just having a fun time, just posting shit and enjoying each other. And the reason why we did that was because we had the Facebook page and people were actually sending stuff to our Facebook page going, oi, that I saw this, you might like it for your Facebook page. But we thought, okay, well, it's probably time for a group now to let people actually post that stuff and take their own credit for it.
Yes.
Well.
That's the thing. Gaming's such a big industry, as we all know. That's why we're here. But it's so big that two little guys from, with a day job couldn't really cover everything. We've got a team now that help us out enormously with this kind of stuff, but it's just, there's so many great little memes and stories that get slipped through that these God Mode people are picking up, which is fantastic.
So just a cheeky smile just went across my face. So you mentioned, people finding us. So this is part of the historian's story here at GameOnAUS.com. While scrolling through Facebook, I saw that a friend of mine liked this new Facebook page called Game On Australia. The logo was questionable. I'll tell the story about the logo in a moment. But I love gaming, and one of the hosts is related to this friend of mine, so I followed the page. Up went posts regularly with gaming memes, Pete being first in line to buy the NES Classic Mini, the boys picking up some game bargains, and notifications of when they were recording the next podcast episode. Pete got super ambitious straight out of the gate and put the NES Mini up as their first prize giveaway.
Yeah, that's right.
The hook, when the page reaches 10,000 likes... It is 2021 and we are still chasing that 10,000. Is the prize still up for grabs? I had better check. Well, in answer to your question, the prize is still up for grabs.
Yeah, there you go.
If we reach 10,000 likes, as I said early on in the piece on that Facebook page, and the post I'm sure is still there, I will hand someone
We
a NES
will.
Mini.
We will hand deliver it.
We will hand deliver it unless they live outside of WA.
Then we'll send it in the
Then
post.
we'll post it. So yeah, just bloody good fun. Now,
What a memory that is.
it certainly is. Now the logo.
Yes.
The logo itself. Now, referring to the white logo with the squiggly writing and the NES controller.
Yeah.
Surrounded by a red box.
And the cord of the controller becomes the logo, doesn't it? The actual writing.
Hang on.
I'm pretty sure it did. Becomes Game
No,
On AUS.
it did. No, it didn't.
Doesn't it? Oh, okay.
No, it didn't. I wasn't that clever at the time.
And I'll preface this by saying, as a person who works in graphic design and Photoshop, I almost fell off my chair when you came to me with this logo designed in Microsoft Paint.
It literally was. Microsoft Paint.
What kind of 2-bit operation were you running here?
Mate, and no bullshit. It was Microsoft Paint. And I looked at it and I went, fucking that'll do.
That'll do.
And
it was good.
And showed you.
I liked it.
And you know what I liked about it? It was us.
Yeah, it was us.
We've got a much slicker, cooler logo now, and that's because you grow and evolve, and we've got a wide community now. We present quite a professional front sometimes. But at this stage, we were just like a hobby. Shits and giggles.
It was almost taking the piss.
It really was.
But in a good way. It wasn't.
We wanted people to see that we didn't take ourselves too seriously.
Seriously, yeah.
And I'd like to think that, to this very day, that's the heart of GOA. And as our Twitter bio says, we take games seriously, ourselves not so much.
Yeah.
And if you ever watch the GOA team get together and powwow and have some games together and stuff, you'll see a lot of ribbing and a lot of fun and a heap of good laughs. People don't get to see behind closed doors the things like our weekly meeting on a Monday night that Dan's never at.
No,
and
never.
We're meant to be there to talk very serious business, and it just ends up turning into a clusterfuck. Like it's just, just having a laugh.
Like our day jobs then.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
having a laugh. Reflex, who's our resident New Zealand content creator and also tournament officer,
legend,
cops a heap of shit. It's good fun. It really is.
Yeah.
That was the idea behind the logo. It was like, it's just a bit of fun, whatever. And then things started to get relatively serious not too far off from then.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you remember, but I would often just come to you and go, why don't we add a Facebook page? All right, well, now why don't we add a Twitter handle?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what, Dan? Like, maybe we should write a couple of reviews a week or something, and maybe we should have a website.
Yeah.
And now it's grown to what it's grown to. But that's literally how it started. It started as I would come to you and say,
yeah,
we should do this.
Yeah.
And you, being the wonderful seafaring man that you are, one hand on the tiller, the other one on my ass, would just go, all right, well, let's...
I'm an enabler. What can I say?
You are an enabler. Well, I need that in my life. And and it would happen. And I'm so glad you are because, again, here we are.
Well, and I want to have a go at some stage in the near future. I want to have a go at Good Game because I caught my kids watching that last week, Good Game Spawn Point. Holy shit. If that's the biggest pile of shit made for gaming ever made. But at the time that they changed direction and obviously got rid of Barjo and Hex, that's sort of when we started to become a bit more serious about the reviewing stuff. So now we have, and thanks to our amazing content team, we have a fully fledged games review site. And I love that. And I always love the fact that, we very rarely deviate from gaming on the website. We do a couple of tech things, but we're not doing top 5 movies you want to see this year, or we are just about gaming. And that's what our websites have become. And in an environment where a lot of these sites have gone down, we've sort of grown, which has been great. You know? I love that.
And look, if we get paid enough money, we will be more than happy to cover movies. But for now, games
or sell the website.
Yes. Hey, let me run this by you, and I'll get you to talk more to the story. But
sure.
Inferno's written here, Pete and Dan just wanted the podcast to be big enough to get free games.
Yeah.
Poor Dan took a while to get his first one, but it was not long before they started getting hardware to review too. Next came special guests and sponsorships signed. Dan recalls the time when PLE came on board as their first sponsor, who are still principal sponsors today, over 4 years later. Yeah. Do you remember how that went?
I do. Again, the enablee came to me and said, "Mate, I've just thought about. I don't even know how you set up the meeting, but you set up a meeting with PLE Computers, the head office in Melbourne. Let's talk to them about getting a sponsorship deal." And I was like, "Okay." So there was no prep. We literally walked into a meeting here, rung them up, speakerphone, talked to. Can't remember who we spoke to now.
We spoke to Jono was on the call.
Yeah. And some of their marketing team. Yeah. And I dropped in that I was old enough to know that PLE Computers, which I think started in Perth, I used to go there back at my old job doing run errands for my old boss who loved his computers. That was a bit of, small talk. And then we just crapped on about how much we love gaming and how we could bring gamers to PLE Computers, I guess. And that's how it started.
Yeah.
You gave us the good news. It was like we walked out of there going, we just talked about gaming, but there was no, funnels or strategies, or it was just our love of gaming.
Look, and admittedly, here we are years down the track, and we're a lot more strategic about things
we are
now.
now. Yeah.
That's how we've managed to sign, deals with Lenovo Legion and Pentanet, which we'll talk to more later on. But really knowing what we know now about how to pitch a company. In terms of getting sponsorship and how hard that process actually is.
Yep.
And the things that you do have to cover off and the proof of concept you do have to show and the history and stuff. PLE Computers had absolutely no obligation to do anything for us. In fact, looking back on it now, I'm so surprised that they didn't laugh us out of the fucking place. Because we I'm just going to shift the mic up a little bit because we literally had nothing prepared.
No.
We said to them, we can do stuff. And that was it. We said, we can do stuff. We can do videos for you. We can do things. We'll put you on the podcast. We'll this, that, and the other.
Yeah. And we we had Anthony from there quite a few times doing tech stuff.
Yeah,
and
he'd come in once a week.
Yep. And to their credit, I think they probably just not even got the vision. They just got that we were so passionate about where we were taking this that they put their faith in us. And thank you to them for that, because it's been an amazing ride with them.
Yes, it really has, and we're still sorry we haven't delivered. No, it's been bloody good. Now this is another memory here, and this memory is 50-50 for me on the whole. It's great, but also how.
That's most of my life.
After their first 10 episodes, the Game On Australia podcast had reached 500 downloads. That's like 50 downloads an episode. It's nothing. And was in the top 10 games and hobbies podcasts on iTunes. Oh, there's somebody calling. Hello, Peter speaking.
It's Jeff from Punch Media, mate. How are you?
I'm going well. How are you? Sorry, could I? I'm right in the middle of a podcast here. Could I give you a call back?
Certainly can, mate.
Good on you, Jeff. Thanks, mate.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jeff.
Jeff, good on you, Jeff. Now, 500 episodes, 500 downloads, was in the top 10 of games, 10 episodes. Pete gave us an impromptu celebratory message. Yes, he has a dirty mo, as it was November, and no, he has no shirt on. But being the epic gamer dad that he is, it was for a good reason. You can view the video here. So there's the link to the video in this.
In the story, yeah.
By the end of November, after coming home late from a gig, Pete recorded a video and whispered because his family were asleep in the room next to him. He was losing his shit on the inside as the Game On Australia podcast had hit number 1 on iTunes for games and hobbies. To this day, I still don't know why we were there. I don't understand.
Content, mate. It was the content.
No. Like, let's be completely honest here. We'd hit number 1 for the hobbies, games and hobbies on iTunes.
Yeah, in Australia.
In Australia, with 500 downloads from 10 episodes. Explain that shit. No idea how, like, we piss that number in these days.
And 499 of them were my mum.
Seriously, we do. We piss that number in these days.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten anywhere near the top there anymore. So,
Divine intervention, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe it is divine intervention.
And that was an interesting... I was away over here in Perth. There's a beautiful little island getaway about 40 minutes off the coast called Rottnest Island. It's a holiday destination, beautiful beaches. And I was sitting there, had a beer in my hand. I was on holidays, looking over the bay back towards Perth, and I get this call from you, and you're like losing your shit. And I was trying very hard, in a calm, tranquil way in where we were, just to not lose my shit too, because it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, it's a great story. It's like the whole Qantas and Jetstar thing, which I know we're going to touch on, but just telling people you're a part of that, they're like, what? Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When we did our first ever live read for a client or a sponsor was for Netflix.
Yes.
And that's what I tell people. And they go, what you're live reading for Netflix? Like, yeah. I know.
Crazy.
I can't believe it either. But,
PlayStation,
yeah.
AOC.
Yeah.
We've done a few of them over the time. And you make mention of the Qantas and Jetstar stuff, but I mean, here we are. That's the next thing. And take a look at that picture there. Yes. And the caption is my dad and Uncle Jim's faces when we got on a Qantas plane and they saw me and Pete on the Q Entertainment home screen plastered all over the plane. Hilarious.
So for a little while there, obviously we're not flying at the moment, or we're limited flying. So, but when pre-COVID, when everything was normal, there was about a 3-month period on Qantas planes where when you get on and the home screen is the home screen, but there's always something to get into. It was us.
Yep.
So you'd walk in and there's 400 seats on a plane, and every single one of those seats on the screen had a picture of you and I.
Oh,
and
mate.
I kept wondering, like, are the hosts going to notice and say, "Oh, Mr. Vandermeer, up to the first class for you"? No, that didn't happen. But we went on a golf trip with my dad and my Uncle Jim, and they're both identical twins, and they think all this bullshit that we do is bullshit. Whatever. Who cares about gaming? They're all such old school. But then when they saw our little faces looking up at them, and Michael Jim's like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, mate, reap it.
It's seriously, like that was a moment. And there's quite a story behind how that sort of came together as well.
Yes, there is.
I'll forever thank Dobbo, mate.
Mr. Guy Dobson.
Mate.
Mate.
Thank you, mate. I was on a plane, noticed that there was no gaming and tech content.
Of course.
Was having a chance chat with him after having delivered some fish because the family's
Family
fish
business, yep.
to him here in Perth while he was over visiting family. And we got talking, and I said to him, "There's this opportunity here. I just don't know how to get in touch with Qantas." And he put us in touch. And, it was 2 weeks later. I mean, I said it was easy, but there was things that happened. But 2 weeks later, we were uploading episodes to Qantas, and I can't wait to get the planes back in the air.
Oh man, yeah, because there's a lot of binging there too.
Lots, yeah. There's a lot to cover off,
Yes.
and thankfully, we've just recently signed the endorsement deal with, the relationship with Stellar Entertainment, who
Yes.
provides all of that to Qantas and Jetstar, and we'll be delivering more aeroplane goodness, which is very exciting. Special guests. We've had a few.
Technically, I mean, obviously we mentioned Major Nelson. We've had a few. Probably my favourite, even though he wasn't really a guest of our show, was just had a mental blank. Peter, the voice of Mario,
Charles Martineau.
Thank you.
Martineau.
He was actually on your afternoon show.
He was on the drive show. Again, this thing's having a day, isn't it? Like, it's just...
Well, it happens to the best of us, Pete.
It really does.
You really, sometimes need a tablet just to keep it up.
There you go.
Hey,
got him, yes.
He came in for your afternoon show, and I was pretty amazed that here is the voice of Mario.
So he was over here for a supernova.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The drive show that I did on the radio, Mix 94.5, is I so happened to be wearing the new logo today. Yep. But yeah, he was in there, and to his credit, the wonderful man, I said to him, "Would you mind hanging around for a little while, and can me and Dan record a chat with you?" And he was only too happy to give us his time.
Amazing. He ended up giving us a big hug and signed a thing for us, and it was fantastic. And to hear him in that context, what I love about having kids, I guess, is that every now and then you get to tell them something and you go, I met this person, I'll do that. But I remember my daughter, I've got a son and a daughter who are right into gaming, and I mentioned that I met the voice of Mario, and their eyes went, what? It was amazing.
Oh,
your
incredible.
Your daughters will do the same once
They will, once they figure it all out.
Yeah,
exactly. Absolutely. But the story of, things that the stories that he told us, and it's episode 27 of the podcast if you want to go back and have a listen. But he tells us an incredible story behind the fact that Link was meant to have a voice in Ocarina of Time.
And they talked to him, he was going to do it, wasn't he?
He was going to do it.
And wasn't it his idea to say, I don't think he needs a voice?
I think he was the one who knocked it back.
Yeah, and said, which is why he hasn't got a voice.
Yeah, bless him.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of amazing guests over the time. And we've also been at the forefront of, some like breaking news when it comes to things happening as well.
Yes.
Over that time, we've created some incredible relationships with the industry across Australia now.
Yep.
And Luke Lancaster, for example,
Yes.
who is the content lead for PAX Australia.
Yep.
When news broke last year that PAX was not going to have a physical event, bless him, mate, thank you. Send him a message that day, and he was only too happy to come on the show that night. It was the same day that the news broke. He was there. Do you remember we had an interview with Peter Stefanovic?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, we bloody did.
So, and we dropped the ball because we forgot to ask him. It was about, it was something to do with video games, obviously.
Well, it was the sudden interest in esports.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So we talked to him about a story he did, and we forgot to ask him who was better at FIFA, him or Carl.
Yes, and to this day,
I still want to know.
Yep, I would still love it. Peter,
let us know,
please. It'd be great.
Clearly, would have been Peter.
Daniel
wouldn't look at the mirror.
Daniel Visser from Wicked Witch Software. That was one of my favourite interviews with a developer because he went so in depth into the creation of a game. Because that was AFL Evolution at the time that we were talking to him about. We chatted to Bill Farmer, the voice of a heap of Disney characters from the Kingdom Hearts series, as well as giving away tickets to Oz Comic Con. Yeah, man, far out. This was. Let me read this. By now, follower numbers were slowly increasing on the Facebook page and a community was starting to build. Facebook, though, was not easy for those of us on the outside to connect and share content with Pete and Dan, or even amongst ourselves. My first post to them was back in August 2017, where I put up a photo of my old copy of Commander Keen on a 3.5-inch floppy disk. There were a few of us in the community that were consistently posting gaming content. We just could not see it unless Pete or Dan linked it on the main page. Yeah. And then this is where, we got around to getting stuck into God mode. Andrew Hogue Radio.
Of course.
Our show was on a metal station, an online heavy metal station. Game on!
Rock on!
Rock on and game on. So, yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, we've just... and that was only into 2017.
Yeah.
And we've still got another 3 years to cover off before then. And Dan, I know you've got a meeting to get to in just a few minutes. But
bloody work.
We're gonna. I reckon in time to come, as more of these stories from Inferno sort of pop up,
we'll sit down and reflect.
We'll sit down and we'll reflect more on them. But. Geez, we even did one on the Coral Coast road trip.
Yeah, so that's right. We drove it must have been from Kalbarri to Dongara. It was actually.
Yes.
And I just pressed record and we GoPro'd it as well.
We did. We were on this. When I was back on Mix,
that's right.
A couple of years ago, we had to go to the Coral Coast for a
had to terrible work trip,
and it spanned a week. And Dan and I were like, "What are we going to do?" And so everybody was like, "All right, guys, we've got to split up into cars and stuff." And we looked at each other and went, "Oh, we'll just go together, guys. We'll just go together. We'll hang out and we'll chat." And yeah, we hit record, and it was about an hour's drive,
and we did
just talking bloody gaming. Oh God, it was fantastic.
Oh, the memories.
Dan, look, there's obviously so many sort of memories and stuff to go through, but I just want to make mention that I guess the most special thing, reflecting on the last few years, and now this being episode number 200, is that like way more important than any of the guests, than any of the interviews that we've done, than any of the games that we get given and the tech and stuff that, like way more than any of that sort of stuff, is quite frankly the most important part and the heart of GOA is the community.
Couldn't have said any better myself, Peter. The people we've met with equal love, or probably more love of gaming actually, just the community catch-ups we've had, the people on Discord, the communities on the socials, amazing. Like, just some really great people have come into our lives. I know I'm speaking of you here, based on something that we created. I'll always be indebted to that.
Indeed, very much so. And look, the future is incredibly bright, and we can tell you that. When we've got companies like Lenovo Legion, PLE, Pentanet behind us, looking at what we've got planned for the future. And it's not about us or the org, it's about you.
You forgot Hustler Magazine.
Hustler Magazine, which of course we only read for the stories, the articles. Thanks, Hustler. No, look, we've got so many incredible things planned. And it all sort of is starting to come together with the building of our members benefits program.
Yes.
And the idea behind the members benefits program is to create a connection between companies or organizations that can deliver value with our community that needs support. ANZ content creators and so on and so forth.
Yep.
So GameOnAUS.com if you want to check out the members benefits program. And the idea is, like with all due respect, you probably, especially for our subscribers, pay between $6 and $10 Australian. And we are so appreciative of that fact and we thank you, but really all you're getting out of it is an emote or access to some emotes. And we thought, all right, well, for that sort of money, how can we actually create something that they're going to get so much more out of?
Yep.
And that's where the Game On Australia Legends has been born. So GameOnAUS.com if you want to go there and actually have a look. I know this sounds like a bit of a sell, but it's a great opportunity just to talk to you about it. but there's an entire list of all of the things that comes with being a dedicated, proud and passionate GOA member at this level.
Yep.
And it's about basically helping you and helping to connect you with brands, to break down walls around accessibility to hardware and technology, to bring about deals. I mean, if you're in Perth, for example, the stuff that that's happening with Pentanet is an opportunity for you to save money on internet.
Yeah.
Pentanet's bringing NVIDIA GeForce Now to the country as well. The cloud gaming platform, it's going to be an opportunity to be a part of the beta and then beyond that, to give you better access to the actual streaming platform itself, because not everybody can afford things like a brand new console when the next console generation comes out, or, a brand new rig when yours needs updating. But, this is the power of the cloud and it's going to be great.
Yep.
Things like Lenovo Legion, leading into the opportunities around giving you better access to their technology, and hopefully discounts and all of that sort of stuff. So go there, check it out. I think the thing that I'm most excited about is something that we've been trying to get together for quite some time, is to use the knowledge and experience of our stream team, our review team, ourselves as, trained media people, our executive, to actually help the people in the community achieve their own goals as well.
Yep.
And we're going to be presenting, like forums, discussion pieces, question and answers, education, all of that sort of stuff as well.
Yep.
So, this is going to be great. I'm really excited about it. I know the entire team is really excited about it. It's going to deliver some real value for the money that you're actually spending. And the first 250 members get a limited edition GOA Legends keychain as well, if you don't mind.
Yes!
So go and check it out, GameOnAUS.com. Especially if you're already subscribing to us on Twitch, this is a great opportunity to go, no, I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that here and I'm going to get so much more bang for my buck.
Yep. Bloody oath.
Wow, man. Episode 200.
Bang.
Jesus. Here's to another 200 more.
Bloody oath.
Here's to hitting episode 1,000, mate. And
that'll be a party.
I'm bloody.
That will be Hustler Magazine.
It will be, yes. I'm excited to be on the journey with you.
Same here, mate.
And I'm very excited to be on the journey with you. I know Dan is. I know the entire team is as well.
100%.
So if you're watching this on Twitch, thank you. If you're listening to this through our podcast, thank you. Head to the Discord, discord.gameonaus.com. That's where all of the magic happens. That's where the community gets together and hangs out and chats.
Yep.
And keep an eye out very soon for the announcement around our Magic the Gathering Arena major.
Boom.
That's coming up. I spoke to Wizards of the Coast during the week. They've committed a whole heap of awesome stuff to this next
Another
big
great
tournament.
guest we've had. Yeah.
Another, absolutely.
Fantastic.
So looking forward to it. It's going to be great. All right, mate. Let's get out of here,
Let's get out of here.
Game on.
Game on.
Have a great weekend in gaming. And as we always say, Dan,
don't forget to save and tune in for the next 200. Woo! Woo, woo, woo.
See ya.